Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our April 1st, 2025 committee of the whole meeting. Councillor Puckett sends her regrets. She is out of the country, so she won't be joining us tonight. We do have a very full agenda, and that is not an April Fool's joke. So we will start. So our agenda will start with a few regular business items, followed by a quarterly update from the RCMP, as well as introduction of a new member to Watson Lake. Following that, we have Coors Silvertip here to present some project updates. We will then have a public hearing for two conditional use applications that were received to allow for a duplex dwelling in a country residential zone. Following the public hearing, CAO Lockwood will give us his report. We then have an admin report for the purchase of the SCBA units for the fire department to review. We're hoping to actually get a motion on that tonight. I know that's typically not how we do things, just because this is a committee of the whole meeting. However, it is a time-sensitive tender bid, so we're hoping to get that motion tonight if everyone's comfortable with that. And then finally, we have two bylaws to review, being the animal control bylaw and of course the fees and charges bylaw. So that being said, we'll get right into it. Does anyone have any additions or amendments to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, may I please have a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda as presented?
Motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Puckett.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Slager. All in favor? Okay, so that passes. Next, may I please have a mover and a second to adopt the minutes from the regular council meeting of March 11th, 2025.
Motion to adopt the minutes. Meeting of March 11th, 2025.
Thank you, Councillor Puckett.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Slager. Any questions or comments stemming from the minutes?
None from me.
Okay. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay, again, that will pass. Moving right along to the open payables, I'll ask for a mover and a seconder to approve the payables in the amount of $269,851.66.
I'll make a motion to look at the open tables in said amount.
Thank you, Councillor Slager. Second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Puckett. So who wants to start with questions on payables?
I don't think I have any this time. Any questions for them?
I had a couple that I was just, not that they're really large amounts, but I was just curious what they are. They're acknowledging that they are within your spend authority. So the first one was 63118, which was Munisite. This is it's a reissue. I just
That's our municipal website.
Oh, okay, thanks. Next was 63131, which was the fiberglass.
631. That's those are the fiberglass vaults, or 621. It's those are the fiberglass vaults for the cemetery.
Oh, okay. And then 63125, which was the Criterion chairs.
So that is Criterion is that's our licensing fees to show movies and to play music in any of our establishments. The copyright thing.
Okay. And then lastly, 63138, which is community services. I'm pretty sure I know what this is, but it just that it was 22,000
Yes.
to community services.
That is the assessment. Yeah, that's the assessment role. Appraisals or assessments.
Awesome.
From assessments.
I mean, awesome, but thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying. And then I think this was something I was gonna ask you on the side, but just the ACO bills. Obviously, it's a considerable amount.
It
Is
is.
that just for 1 month? So just for the record, the total, there's probably 4 entries for ACO on the payables this month, totaling about $70,000. So I'm just curious if that's like a 1 month charge or if that's.
So that, your worship, that is the month of February, but it also is the man charges going back to December on some buildings.
Okay,
So the rec center, as an example, our power bill for the month of February was about $4,400, but the man charges on that building over the period of December to the end of February, was, neighborhood of $22,000
Wow.
in additional costs.
So, and, which makes even more sense for us to put forward that resolution to the AYC, AGM.
That is
For us
correct.
to remember, we're, recycling a resolution from a few years previous about the on-demand charges, so.
Yeah, so for, just for clarity, your worship, so the demand charges went back to December 30th up until the 25th of February. And our power usage charge was $4,400. And the demand energy charge was $25,391.
Wow.
So over 5 times what our power use was.
Mhm.
What they do have residential to like you exceed 1,000 kilowatt hours. And no matter when your usage time was, whether it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the morning. You still get charged, once you exceed those caps, you get charged the higher you go into, like it's a higher tax bracket almost. Right, that's what we're trying to argue, is that it should be across the board the same,
Well,
or.
so I think the last resolution that went forward was asking that Yukon government would basically tell ACCO not to charge us that, which is not really how things work. What we're going for is that maybe they would create a different like rate category for municipalities. It's kind of how we're wording the resolution for this year. I'll show it to you after. I just
Gotcha.
I have it, but because the last response we got on that was basically that they were intentionally charging government more to basically offset the cost for everybody else, which makes sense for, I think, YG, but given the fact that we basically get our funding from, anyway, that's what the resolution is about. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I just, that was such a huge bill, and I know it's always like a sizable amount, but it just seemed like quite a bit more this time. So sorry, does anybody else have any questions about the payables? Comments?
The Brent tractor,
So that is maintenance done. That's they were up here for a 2-week period doing repairs and maintenance on our equipment. Some of it was warranty, but
was that the mower again from last year?
no, this was the grader, one of the skid steer, the loader. I can't remember. It was the full round of stuff they give us quotes on.
Perfect. Okay, so if there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor of approving the open payables? Okay, that passes unanimously. So that takes care of our regular business. So next up we have the RCMP. So I'd like to invite Corporal Curtis Harbour to give us a policing update and introduce us to a new member for Watson Lake. Hello. Welcome.
Good to see you. Yes. Just to start with, I guess, crime trends and stuff that are starting to pick up a little bit for us with the warm weather we've had over the last month. We're starting to see a lot more people moving, especially outside, getting a lot more of the public intoxication. Still seeing quite a bit of drug use on those calls as well. It's something we're going to try to focus on. It's something I'm going to ask you at the end of this too, is trying to get some initiatives going forward for the next year, as today's our new fiscal as well. In that period of snow we had during the warm weather, we had quite a few traffic accidents as well, both on highway and roads in town, and some off-road snowmobile accidents and stuff like that that were time consuming and resulted in some injuries. That was another initiative we're going to try to bring forward for the next year and start focusing on is road safety again. Other than that, the numbers compared to last year for the month of February, anyway, we're fairly similar to what we had this year and last year combined. We see a little bit of discrepancy in the public intoxication liquor calls and stuff that we've had this year as compared to last year. It's resulted in a few more people in custody and in cells just overnight released again. Majority of our calls have been that over the last little bit here. We also introduce our new member, John Dagg. He came from Nunavut. He's been with us since February 16th, I think is when he got to town. So I'll let you introduce yourself and say a little bit about yourself and your experience.
So my full name is Jean-Philippe, but I go by John. I feel like it's a lot easier for everyone to pronounce. I have just over 7 years of service with the RCMP, started in Quebec for 5 years, and then I did 2 years in Nunavut, and that's where I'm coming from. So I was on the west side of Nunavut and transferred here to Watson Lake. My wife's here with me. She's looking potentially at a job offer in the community, so she wants to be involved in the community, get a job within the community here. And that's it. I've been involved in hockey so far with coaching and playing as well. And that's pretty much it. That's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Well, welcome to Watson Lake.
Thank you very much.
officially. I don't know if you've met everyone here, but my name's Lauren. This is Thomas, Billy or William, and Danina, and of course Phoebe Lockwood as well. So welcome. Does anyone have any questions, comments?
Don't you have any hobbies that did you pick the Yukon or did you just send me anywhere?
Yeah, I asked for the Yukon specifically. So I wanted to come here mainly for the outdoors activities. That's both me and my wife are really fond of that. So that's mostly the reason why we want to come here. We also love the north. We love the experience up in Nunavut. We wanted to change a bit of a change of pace and come to Yukon. So having more amenities, more services, but still being in the north is quite nice. So that's why we're here. So outdoor activities, hockey as well. Those are mainly the two activities that I'm a fan of.
Into the right place.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, yes, pleasure to meet you. So I'm sure we'll be seeing
For
you
sure.
again.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
One quick question.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were gonna.
Was the search warrant executed, what was it, 1 month ago? 1.5 ago? I remember on the go right, morning. Yeah, I guess. And
That was in January.
There's some stuff and we would see it in the media, in the short time, but it's never been put in the media.
I think charges are being laid. I think I'm going to try to serve some paperwork in regards to that today.
Okay.
Charges are sworn, so I don't know exactly what those are to update you right now, but it's in that process now and we'll be into the courts within the next month or two.
So. Are there some rules around that then, like while all of these things are taking place that the media can't, provide information on it or?
Yeah, but the identity would be the biggest thing. Until there's charges laid in a public court, then you can't identify anybody from the file. As far as charges that we're looking at and stuff, that was what the delay was. We were waiting on some further testing and stuff during that investigation, and we're now at the point where we've got all our evidence and we're gonna be laying charges, and there'll be some charges going to court here.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
I think Corporal Parker was gonna talk about maybe some areas that they were thinking about for priorities for next year.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess some of the areas we've seen uptick in is, like I said, is kind of the drug use and we've had a couple of good results with bigger drug seizures in the last couple of months. We're going to continue to try and focus on that. And then the increase in traffic, just some of the collisions and stuff that we've had have been more serious and result in serious injury and a couple of deaths over the winter. Speed being a factor in most of those. So we're going to be focusing on traffic safety and enforcement on the roads a little bit more as well. And then along with that, the impaired driving and things that come with it. So I guess I'll leave it open to you guys too, if you have any input in any priorities or anything from the community you'd like to suggest for us to keep looking forward
For sure.
to, or anything that pops up to any of you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I definitely think that you guys are, yeah, for sure on the right track. I don't wanna speak for everyone, but, I think that we totally agree with those things, especially the traffic safety bit. I know that we sent a letter to the detachment recently, just asking for an increased presence in the school zones and things like that, because we have had some outreach from community members that have some concerns, you know, I think specifically over at high school, but, just in school zones in general. Definitely community safety, drug, all things, I don't know if you call it drug trade, drug, whatever. All things to do with that, obviously. I know that's something that Councilor Rump has been very passionate about, so would like to see the continued, you know, efforts in that area.
It shows anyway, for sure.
And then the other issue your worship and Purple Harbor talked on it is the public intoxication. Now with tourist season kind of ramping up and
Yeah.
it's noticeable already because the last 3 mornings coming into work, I've picked up empty booze bottles in front of our office, so it's in full display. So, and that helps and it really, it's paid dividends over the years. With the detachment members out, even if it's just talking to the people and keeps them moving and sort of, I mean, people know there's an on rates.
What is the being the next sergeant yourself there? Say at Lockwood, so just public intoxication or like public nuisance, like what other things can we use to deter or like?
Yeah, the Bill Liquor Act or like housing disturbance,
Has anyone met with Elephant and said, you know, if you guys had a really cool spot that you could hang out that was just like over there and away from these nice little old lady tourists that just want some souvenirs? You know, like, I'm not saying condone it, but we're like misdirected or like it.
a lot of where we see it is in those offices that provide support to especially low income, like the social services office, post office, Elephant office, all in the main drag here. So people are coming to those places anyway, and that's where a lot of the gathering is that we find. Yeah, we try to relocate if we can have them go somewhere and be somewhere, and if they're not causing problems, if they're causing problems or being a big nuisance, they end up coming with us immediately. But we try to relocate if we can to a house or a friend's or somewhere for them first, and if that doesn't work, then they end up coming with us. But
Gotcha.
I think it's the services that are in the main public areas here that are attracting a lot of it, so.
And to continue my kudos to your, because minor hockey would not exist without the members'
100%.
contribution.
Yeah.
To it, it's my kids never were in hockey. I coached hockey with Brian Lundgren back in the day. I know what it's like to do that. It's a good man for sure. And way to go. But I noticed new trending thing is the days of the week and what times things happen. Is there any sort of is that something that's new to tracking, or is it something that people are kind of like trying to establish a pattern, or is it like, is there any noticeable, like at the beginning of the month, you're like, oh, it's gonna get crazy, beginning of the month, full moon?
There's definitely those certain periods that pick up. The end of the month is definitely still a busy point. The graphs that are on that report from last month, I think that's Sergeant Crawford just going through files and finding times and stuff himself to add those in there. It helps for us, especially me. I work on our schedule, so I can use those graphs as well and try to have our extra presence in those. You're seeing a lot of it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. Still, majority of our calls, we have that 8-hour stretch early morning, late night, early morning where it's quiet down, but it's fairly consistent. So we're hoping now, minus Sergeant Cropper himself, he's off now. I don't know for how long with some medical leave. He's gonna have surgery next week and find out more after that. But the rest of us, we're hoping to be fully staffed on the road for the rest of the summer here with
Gotcha.
Constable Brian's our last one coming back. March 13th he's back, so I'm hoping to be able to address those and have more coverage all the time and have a couple guys on days, a couple or 2 or 3 on nights and focus focus on those busier periods.
Makes sense. I was just kind of curious whether it was like, yeah,
It's not a new tool, I think he's going through that himself and just pulling calls and times and putting it together into a graph, so.
Appreciate the inclusion of those graphs in here. I thought it was just kind of an interesting to look at, and just to see those
if
stats.
there's any sort of
Yeah.
trends, right? Because there's, I know when we're on the ambulance, we notice trends as well, for sure, so.
Does anyone else have anything to add as far as priorities or, anything? All right,
It's a huge thing, you know, how many times spent with them kids on the edge.
yes, thank you so much.
Find an area I don't get to spend much time.
I've got a couple of them out there all winter long too, so it's definitely nice to get them out of the house and spend some energy, so. But I think. I don't know if any of us are involved, but I think we're gonna get youth soccer. A couple of the spouses are working on it right now to get through soccer, Yukon and Whitehorse again. We're actually gonna have soccer for the kids here in the next couple. I think it's starting May and then into maybe a tournament to June and stuff again for them, so. Hopefully look forward to that and
Oh, that's
keep it going.
awesome.
Yeah, and just make sure they talk to Austrian or our programmer, and they'll assist with whatever we can do.
For sure.
All right, well, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Have a great night. Welcome, see you later. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Hey. So as I mentioned earlier, next on the agenda, we have John Emery, and I apologize, Cam did not tell us your name. Sorry. From Core Silvertip here to present some project updates. So if you, I'll just invite them to the table here.
Thank you.
And I'll just maybe just quickly introduce everyone. So Councillor and Deputy Mayor Thomas Slager, Councillor Billy Wimp, Councillor Danina Paquette, and my name is Lauren Hatcher, and I'm the mayor. And sorry, CAO Lockwood, fill-in clerk. Ava.
Rick Lockridge, General Manager at the moment.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for the opportunity to come and present. Nice to see you again, Cam. And this is Caitlin McCullough. Well, here we are. We finally meet. Caitlin and I
Oh.
working on some fundraising opportunities. So it's great. Are you able to put the presentation up, or I can just,
Sorry,
I can just walk through it here? I missed you at the steak dinner. It was fantastic.
Oh, good, glad you got to attend that.
Yeah, I come up 6 or so times a year, really, when the community will have me, and
Oh, okay.
try to help out where I can and learn a little bit about the community. It's been very welcoming.
Just
It's nice to chat to
and stop it, and then go.
I can just go off.
I seen it, there it is.
There we go.
There we go.
All right,
Cool.
whenever you're ready.
Good. Well, again, thank you very much for welcoming us. Rick and I are, it's a privilege for us to be here, a chance to speak with you and give you a little update on the project. Great to meet all of you. So we have gone through introductions and, you know, a little bit about Core. Core is an American company based in Chicago. We have 5 operating mines and 1 exploration project. Silvertip is the exploration project. And, you know, you can just take a look at the map there, and you can see the location of the projects. 1 in Alaska, 1 in British Columbia, 2 now in Mexico, and the rest are in the United States. Core recently bought the Las Chispas mine in Mexico through an acquisition of Silvercrest Minerals. Core has 3 key values. These are protect, develop, and deliver. Tonight we'll focus primarily on protect, which focuses on people and supporting the communities. So if you have any questions, just, don't hesitate to drop in and just ask, well.
Which one has your most high grade ore?
Which one?
Which one has your most high grade ore?
Which one has the most high grade ore? Rochester right now is probably our biggest producer as far as gold per ounce. But Coeur Silvertip, actually, the name comes from the fact that they owned a silver mine in 1902 for 80 years in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And when they moved to Chicago, they couldn't take the name Coeur d'Alene Mining with them, so they shortened it to Coeur.
Oh, it's fine.
And so that's where the name comes from, and it's actually heart in French. So it's the heart of the company. But to your question is, they may be one of the biggest producers in gold, but Coeur itself being a silver mining company, we do everything in silver equivalent ounces. And the purchase of the Las Chupas mine makes Coeur Mining the largest silver producer in North America.
Wow.
You wouldn't know that, we're living right in your backyard there.
So is the mine here in production then?
Our mine is not in production.
Oh, okay.
And correct me to if I'm wrong, it's on the other side, like you go to Silver Heart, you would take a left, Silver Tip is the
Yeah,
other
1084,
side, right, other side of the highway?
yeah,
Silver Heart's up by the Rancheria Falls and then you go.
Yeah.
Silver Tip is by. George's Gorge. By the Lake Veronica Lake, it has Veronica Lake and then you go on.
Yeah, it's Silver Tip,
Yeah,
yeah, Silver Heart is the,
Yeah.
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 And then Silver Knife is just below us.
Oh my goodness.
a lot of silver,
Who knew?
a lot of silvers. So yeah, we prioritize the well-being of the communities and, you know, we prioritize the communities and, make our workforce and the communities a priority where we work. Our focus is creating local opportunities to help the communities to grow today and into the future. Of course, we have to scale that to align with our operations, which are currently in exploration and have been for a little while. So we are continuing to try to foster a sustainable workforce. Hired locally, we've been working with the college to try to put some programs in place to encourage people to look into mining. We continue our local hiring focus. Most recently, we've been hiring for heavy-duty mechanics, geological technicians, and recently a site services technician or a supervisor. Our outreach, we're trying to enhance that a little bit to try to encourage more local hiring. We do post jobs in UN, and I have some local distribution lists, email lists that I send job postings and newsletters to. And most recently, I got permission to put job postings and share information through the Watson Lake Sunshine, and noticed it has 4,400 followers. So I think that's a great venue to share information through. And I should, not go without saying that we are a very safe operation. We've had just reached a key milestone of 4 years lost time incident free. We're very proud of that and work hard to maintain that and make sure that everybody that works at Coeur and from the community is safe. So, great, thanks. So as Caitlin knows, we do engage with the community both in terms of working with the nonprofits and community groups to raise funds and to provide donations. A couple of examples, we recently helped out, I met with Melanie from the rec center, and we provided some, I worked with several miners, and we pulled some money together and purchased, or the township purchased swim lane markers. And we've helped out at the recreation center, providing funding for helmets and things like that. And also I heard hockey mentioned, and so we've been working with the Minor Hockey Association. And you can see up there, we have Sue Rudd and your colleague there at the Signpost Seniors. And I was over there for lunch the other day and met some of the seniors and had some good conversations. And learn a lot more about the history of the area. So it was, quite enjoyable. And so, yeah, as I mentioned, we do invest in community infrastructure. At this point, that's fairly, low key. It's like I say, we're scaling this to match our, our operations. We aren't making money right now, so we have a fairly limited donations budget, but nevertheless, we do leverage that as much as we can. So I'm trying to, for example, meet with, I have been meeting with, trying to remember his name. Kate Miller, we're talking about working together on the disc golf, trying to improve some of the signage there. And as I mentioned, we have been working with the Recreation Center, and I had just missed Austria and Shannon when I was in town last week, but when I come back, we'll have another chat and see how we can help out there. In terms of public safety, we're very keen on that too. For the example, we did provide the helmets to the public skate, so the kids could continue to skate safely. And in fact, Melanie said the program wouldn't be able to go ahead without it. So, we're quick to support that. And as mentioned, we are supporting lots of local fundraising and trying to find places that, the community needs the help and they align with our values. So, perhaps there's, having heard the officers speaking, there's a way we could help out with some public safety. But I guess the gist of it is what we want to hear from you and the community as to what your needs are. So yeah, just next slide, please. Another area of protect is beyond people is places. And we recently we're out at the Daily Council and supported their cultural center grand opening. Participated in their National Indigenous Peoples Day event. It was a very, very memorable experience. Yeah, so our goal really is to work closely with the community and maintain an inclusive community as much as we can, contribute to that, and work with everyone to make sure things are safe, and that CORE has a role in playing with the community to advance community values that align with ours in the realm of protect, develop, and deliver.
I think the key role for Silvertip at this point, and it was great for John to set this up for us, is to start to be able to engage with the community more. And I mean that in best sense, where I've been with Silvertip since it was bought by CORE, but I was there when they built the mine and worked for JDS. I've been here, I've watched us become an operating mine with 250 people working there. I've seen how that really worked with the community and how being an operating mine really helped integrate the community and the people that we could get from the community to come work there. Then, of course, we get a layoff and COVID, and now we're back in exploration mode. And over the next 3 to 5 years, I gradually see our input with the community and building the mine getting stronger and stronger every year. This year, we're trying to hire probably 20 new people to come there. We just hired a new environmental person from here in town. And so as much as we can, we will want to see the community grow with us being able to provide jobs. As we strengthen the mine itself, we'll be looking into the community for apprenticeship programs where we know that both John and our HR department have been to different fundraisers in town and also try to explain what the mine will need in 3 to 5 years. So that's talking to young men and ladies that are, in grade 8 and 9, so that they have an opportunity to understand what opportunities do exist right here for them in 3 to 5 years, and what kind of work we will have at the mine, and what that looks like, even from an educational standpoint of what education they need. So we can hire them in these roles other than just bringing them on as laborers or, and apprentices as well. So building the mine to a point where we can start employing people that are through apprenticeship programs, and that is one of our goals. And like I said, we're trying to build that foundation now so that we can support the community like we did back in 2019 when we had 250 people and are probably, if we look at where we want to be and back as a operating mine, we'll be at that 250 to 300 personnel to run the mine, hopefully in the next 3 to 5 years.
And you're looking for a 250 person operation or like a 99 person camp operation, because that's the magic number, right?
Well, right now our camp will hold 240 people. And during operational, we'll have probably 300 people, but they'll be on rotation, so split shifts. So we'll have 150 employees and probably 50 contractors every 2 weeks throughout the mine. Right now, we're sitting at about 65 to 70 people every 2 weeks. That'll go to about 120 to 130 people throughout the summer and probably max out at 150.
What's the price of silver and what's the price of fuel gonna look like before that's doable?
Well, it was in 2020 when we started to look at it, it was doable at $19.80 an ounce. And yesterday it was 32.10. So it's even more doable now.
Yeah, fuel just dropped 22 cents today.
Yeah. Yeah, and the big thing for that, and speaking of it, they wish they were in business today at $32, I can tell you that. But being a company that has 6 other mines, the operational cost of running Silvertip right now, where we're not producing, is kind of where they struggle with how much money it costs to keep the mine running right now and do the exploration, but they have to spread that out over the other mines. They just did a $450 million expansion at the Rochester mine, which is the biggest producing mine we have. So it'll take them 2 to 3 years to get that cash flow back so that they can start to invest in Silvertip and turn it into an operating mine.
So right now, the focus is just on capacity building and kind of getting ready for.
Right now, this year, we're,
First license, all those things.
yeah, we'll be doing more exploration this year and spend money on exploration this year and next year, and then be able to concentrate on what that looks like, what opportunities are there now with the new critical minerals that are out. In 2019, funny part about critical minerals is we're being fined for critical minerals in our silver because they had to refine them out. But now that they have become a critical mineral, they're worth money. So now we won't be fined for it. We will actually be paid for the critical minerals that the Canadian government has deemed to be critical in Canada. So it was actually a bonus for us for sure.
So, well, I certainly appreciate the commitment of CORE to hiring local and building the capacity within the community, as well as the commitment to investing in the community, whether it's recreation or nonprofits and things like that. I think there have been a number of groups or events or what have you that maybe those things wouldn't have been able to happen without the contribution from the company. So I just want to thank the company for that. I think it's really, it's a big deal. So.
Well, and hopefully as we grow and we start to become an operating mine, all of that can become bigger and better as well, because like I say, as John says, we're not making money, but we're still spending money. But as we make money, that spend can be bigger and broader, right? And that is the goal for sure.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, what we're doing is not just sharing donations, but as the slide shows, we are trying to enhance the local economies through local hire to CORE, as well as contractors. And we have several local contractors working for us. IKC and First Casket, for example, are 2 of them. And we use a lot of restaurants and bed and breakfast and small deliveries. as well, we're partnered with, the Dees River Dev Corp on some of our projects and activities. And we do have an environmental department. As Rick said, we have a local, in fact, two local Watson Lake folks working for us as technicians.
Great.
We're currently bringing one on. And so we strive hard to do that. It's not always easy. But we try to be, I get a little flexible in terms of if you don't quite have the experience, but you've got the motivation and we've seen you put the effort in, we'll try to keep people on. And one of the key things is not just recruitment, but it's retention. And a lot of times people want to see, where am I going to end up in a few years? So we're working with people on their career plans so they can, get the education as they're being employed and keep moving along. We've been working with the Red First Nation education. We're getting there. We came in last year and participated in the career fair, which was pretty spectacular. I don't know if you were there or if anyone attended, but it was a pretty big deal, and we hope to see that happen again. It didn't happen in 2024, but hoping that it'll happen in 2025 sometime, and maybe do some more career awareness rather than just being at our booths and having people come by. So we work real hard to maintain compliance with our permits and kind of go beyond. One of the things I'm very proud of is we implemented a recycling program recently. Enhanced our recycling program, and one of the outcomes from that through innovation with one of our department supervisors was our recycling. All the funds from that go into an account, and we're accumulating that. I don't exactly know how much money is today, but the goal is to accumulate a little lump there that we can, support a key initiative. Like Rick was saying, we don't have a lot to share, but what we found is this stranded revenue source. And so trying to accumulate that. Rick said, I'd love to have the money for something else. I arm wrestled him for it. He wanted me to give it to me anyways. So yeah, we are helping to build the local economy and the community member skill sets, and we are striving to restore our site. One of the challenges there is, of course, there's potential growth in the future. So we have to be careful we don't spend a bunch of money restoring and then dig it all up.
Yeah.
So in the picture there, I'm very proud of that, although it is going to be dug up one day and used for restoration. It's one of our soil stockpiles. And it's just an example of how we contain that and stabilize that and make sure it's in good shape for the future and doesn't contribute to an environmental degradation by its presence there, because it is quite a good sized pile there. So we do exercise some progressive reclamation, and currently we're developing a research reclamation program. One of our focuses in that is water treatment. Of course, Silvertip Creek runs through Silvertip and into the Tootsie River. So water quality and treatment is our top priority. And I'm going to estimate 1,000.
We can't tell you how big a fish that we actually catch. And we tag them just so they can do a study. We do fish studies every year. And I know that the biggest Arctic grayling is 6 pounds, 7 ounces caught in the Yukon. I can tell you there's some in the Rancheria River that'll give it a run for its money. Well, we don't fish there, but we have to catch them every year just so we can tag them and track them. But it's pretty amazing, the wilderness area that the mine is built in. So we're doing our best to make sure we maintain that.
Yeah, for sure. And it is really lovely. And perhaps next time, if we have that opportunity, I can share a few photos of the backcountry, since not that many people get there.
Yeah, thanks.
So
Someone wants to take a grader on their first 3 clicks in the cluster log.
Season and they're all quad, sure,
No, sir.
nobody comes through there anymore.
No, they don't.
No, I
No, it's not allowed.
don't
See,
allow any.
before COVID, I was hauling up there and I watched them recent, sure.
Yeah, I know.
There's nothing anybody could do at that time.
We put an end to that, so.
Well, we're a different organization than
Yeah,
was
we-
operating it before.
I mean, there's, we
What's up there?
do our best to control as much as we can. And
Well, I hold it quite a few months here and I hold them to order as well. And it was very impressive with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say they probably 80% better than most of the ones that I would have, including Wolverine and Tom.
Well, we're an underground mine, so we don't make much of a mess on the surface, right?
But there's no one in there, everything is kilometered off, there's lots of, they instruct you like how to get down to the parts.
Yep.
There, how to get to the David's Falls.
Yeah,
I'm not there quite a bit, I was rather impressed.
no, we've been, like I say,
You can drop one trailer and pull them up one at a time.
we've had one incident on the road in the 8 years I've been there, so we try to maintain it as best we can and help out when we can. When we're grading, we bring the firewood to the side of the road for people who wanna chop it up and do what we can to help people that are there, right?
Yeah, and as Rick said, we are an underground operation, and one of the key questions that people have is, so what about all the stuff that comes out from under the ground? Well, basically, we do two things. We process it and the minerals we process it and the minerals are sold. And then the tailings and then the waste rock, the tailings, so we're cemented up and it would go underground, so it minimizes the surface accumulation. And the remaining waste rock, that is not acid generating, goes into a tailings rock storage facility. And so I'm very proud to work for Coeur because I feel it's quite innovative. You know, the tailings facility is quite small. It's a dry stack tails because the wet tails go under the ground. And so I'm very proud to work there and I have a great hope for the future.
That's great.
And I'm also very impressed, you know, before we go out in the field to do our drilling programs or any kind of land disturbance, according to the law, we secure archaeological permits and protect the cultural resources by going out and identifying sensitive areas and just not disturbing them. And we try to bring out the LFN and Taltan folks to participate with us, and for the most part, they do when they have the ability. And by the way, can't quad through the site, but at it's 21.5 or 22.5. There is a road that cuts off there, and
Takes you on back through the Silvernail property, which we're looking at taking over now as well, so. It'll be interesting for sure. But there are ways to get around the property, the outfitter down there, he uses that road for the winter to move his hay and we help him out occasionally. When last year he was stuck in the backcountry in a snowstorm with his horses and we moved his horses through the property for him so he can get them out because he couldn't get around. So whatever we can do to help, doesn't matter who it is. And
I think you made a friend.
Yeah.
well, mining needs friends.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, as Rick was saying, we do underground exploration, and right now we're also advancing our underground structures, the tunnels, I guess you could call them, and building additional infrastructure like ventilation, hygiene facilities, and electrical. So part of our exploration is on the surface, and a lot of it is underground. So we're basically trying to avoid that.
The idea of the underground development is so we can drill from underground, so we don't have to build drill pads.
Oh, yeah.
And from surface, the first 400 meters is usually bad earn contact zone. So from underground, we save probably 400 to 500 meters of drill holes every time we can drill from underground. And the whole purpose is to stay off the surface. So we're doing as much underground development that will turn into development for mining. But right now the development is to help us do exploration drilling and not be on the surface.
Okay.
With surface disturbances.
And one final thing, we have been staking some claims, and I'm going to venture that we have what we've done from about 40,000 acres to about 80,000 acres of claims. So we're investing not just in the community, but we're also investing in the property substantially.
Yeah, so we're trying to grow the property, and I think that's a big thing for, some people may look at it the wrong way that, you know, okay, you guys wanna be bigger, you wanna be bigger, you wanna be bigger, but the idea isn't to be bigger, the idea is to stay underground. The idea is not to have surface disturbance, but the idea is to show people that we wanna be here long term. This originally, when I got here in 2016, it was a 5-year project. Open a mine, take out as much silver as you can and close it. Core's idea is that this life of mine is 20 to 30 years long, and that's what they want to invest in. And that's why there hasn't, where everybody would like to see a mine built tomorrow, they're looking at it, they're investing probably $40 to $50 million a year in us being here. And it's, the investment is to be here for long term, not a short term, is the idea.
Yeah, so looking ahead, we just want to continue working with the community, building the community capacity, supporting local businesses and try to build community capacity to bring people back home. And
Yeah.
have lots more community members that hopefully can come and work for us and support the community with services and businesses and entrepreneurs. So we just want to help build a mind, help build a stronger community. So that's
Great.
kind of our presentation. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to take them. And I'll leave some business cards here for Rick and I, and just
Okay.
feel free to give us a call anytime. Like I said, I come up every few months, and I'm happy to come up to present again with Rick, or I can bring HR out, bring some specialists out who can provide sort of answer more questions and provide different context for the conversation.
Yeah, thank you. I don't personally have any questions. Anyone else around the table?
Just the upgrades on the mill, Jeff.
The mill's empty. We took everything out of the mill because it was old and antiquated. And what will happen next is we will rebuild a brand new mill.
Okay.
Something
They shut
that-
down, I remember they said they were shutting down for upgrades.
Yeah, so as we looked at how to upgrade it, it was to empty it. And we ended up cleaning the whole shell out and it'll be brand new. I mean, when they built the mill was actually, that mill came from Sedana Hess and it was built in 1972.
Yeah.
So when they even installed it, it was already 50 years old. So it ran, but it didn't run very well. It was probably 40% efficient, and now with new technology, we can be at that 80% efficiencies, which really make a big difference. So it will be new technology and new designs, more environmental friendly, better in the water treatment plant and all those things. So we're looking at a new water treatment plant right now that goes from charcoal filters to new state-of-the-art microfiber filters that clean water that goes in Silvertip Creek is probably cleaner than Silvertip Creek right now.
And that is a fact.
And you know, and it's just doing the right thing, right? Is our goal.
And I think your vision is great timing for us as well, because we were just opening up lots, running lots on Francis Ave. We're going to have incentives to encourage people to build. So I think it's great. So by the time you guys are ready to have a bunch of people hired, there'll be places for them to live, which I think is great. I think it's that your timing is really in line with our sustainability of our community as well.
Well, I think that's the key. I mean, I started mining and won't tell you how old I am, but when I started mining, you had to live in the community. Like there was no fly in, fly out kind of mining that started like 25 years ago where communities, when I came to work at Faro in 1977, there was like 5,000 people in Watson Lake. So it was a huge community at one time, based on the fact that if you worked at Faro, you had to move to the north or you didn't get a job, right? So yeah.
You should consider like bonuses. And I know we're crunched for time. We should actually wrap this up a little bit because we're on 5 out of however many things, but
it's
mine,
so
I
fun.
think, to take this something forward that would actually save you guys money in the long run on your shift turnovers if you had some sort of local clause in there. So you look at the cost of flying somebody in and out from all these different places. If you just said, if you live within the mine and you drive to this one pickup spot here, you would, you know what I mean? Like you would get
We do that.
You do that?
Yep.
When you're.
We give a northern living allowance for people to live in Watson Lake or Whitehorse.
That's right, and preferential hiring, that's, like I say, we do.
So we do that so that we can attract people here. We talk about living in the north all the time and what that looks like. I mean, you know, people, the worst part about it is you're hiring people that have never been here. So, but we do have a northern living allowance that we incorporate into people that want to live in Whitehorse and Watson Lake to kind of see if it's something that would interest them for sure.
All right.
Great.
Well, thanks again.
Thanks for your time.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you.
being here. Nice to meet you both. And, yeah, hopefully we can.
Yep.
Again, keep in touch
Yeah,
and,
whenever you
Yeah.
we're just a call away, and when I come back into town, I usually drop by the office and just say a quick hi,
cool.
say hi to Cam and bring a little
I'll
update.
take the card, please.
Sure.
And I'll talk to we have lots of agreements with other mines to help support. And I don't know if our ERT team and our fire department has reached out to your fire department to help support in any way. In training, because we go to other mines to do training, we train with other mines. We support them for different accidents and those kind of things, and I'm pretty sure that it would be something that we could help support your fire department as well. If, you know, something breaks out that's big,
Mhm.
we're only an hour away at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So it's something we should look at and help support each other in different ways. And I'll have our ERT team reach out to your fire chief and go from there.
Appreciate that, thank you. Great.
All right.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you. See you again. Take care.
We want to buy a fire truck,
We got one.
We have two
We got three.
vintage 25-year-olds.
No, I don't.
Whatever they are.
Ours is not that many miles on it. I mean, doesn't go very far over the Wednesday.
No, for sure. And hope you haven't had to use it.
We haven't had to use it yet.
That's great.
That's the good thing.
I love that.
Hey, Ruth.
No.
Why is she gonna be able
Okay.
When she's in her music, we think they're on the.
So next up, we have a public hearing. Administration was in receipt of two conditional use applications to allow for a duplex dwelling, and that's two separate duplexes, to allow for a duplex dwelling in a country residential zone. So we are going to have one public hearing, one motion to open public hearing, where we will discuss both applications, but we'll discuss each application separately. So let's start with the property on. Oh, sorry,
Make a motion to adopt the 207 Stubenberg Boulevard conditional use, public hearing.
motion to make the, oh, thank you. Second.
Second.
Lee, thank you, all in favor of going, open the public hearing. Thank you, okay, so. Notices of the public hearing and requests for submissions were posted clearly around town, as well as advertised in the town social media. Cutoff times for submissions was 4 p.m. on Thursday, March 28th, and at the time of closing, admin was in receipt of two, I believe, written submissions for Stubenberg.
It was the 27th version.
It was the 27th, excuse me, was the closing date. So we were in receipt of two written submissions for the Stubenberg
That is correct.
application. Which, just for the record, we're both in objection to the conditional use application. So I'll now open the floor for verbal submissions from the gallery here in the room. If there are any, and from those joining us by Zoom.
I'd like to know, which name? And then you've got two, now you're saying there's two.
Yes, sorry, which property under which name? Is that what you're getting?
Yeah, basically, okay, so I'm not, you're talking about Spielberg, there was one for a B and B out by, Dollar Trail, and then there's.
I'm sorry, I read out the names of who's on the application, that's why I'm understanding.
Yeah, it's actually posted. So, your worship, the bed and breakfast one is for, that public hearing is the next meeting of the.
Yeah, on the 15th.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanna know about the one now you're talking, so that's one of two, so there's a second one, right?
So there's one on
Pine
Studenberg Boulevard, the other one is on Pine,
Okay, so the one on Pine Way, it's the,
two, both for a duplex.
So there's going to be two duplexes there.
That's what they've applied for.
Okay, so I'd like to know, because there's two lots there, and I look at the map, it looks like one lot is, what you're talking about on Pine Way, but there's another one that they've cleared, both lots are together. And, I don't know what that address is, probably is Gutenberg. I'd just like to know who's doing that.
Mark, do you know the approximate lot size that are down there? What is your lot size?
So mine is a little bit bigger, so those are probably, half a hectare each, around that.
So 200,
So I've just heard different stories over the time, so I heard that the two lots were amalgamated together, then no, they couldn't, so they were separated out, and then they were sold, and then not sold. So now it's cleared as one big clearing, and there's gonna be two duplexes on there,
Oh, sir, just for the record, there's only one duplex on the one lot.
on the one lot.
Yes, that is
So,
correct.
the other lot is still country residential?
They're all country
Yeah,
residential.
so we'll stay that.
Yes, they would
Okay.
say country residential on that way.
Okay, so I'm just concerned because country residential, now you want to put a commercial rental property there. And you're kind of taking away from maybe the public that would like to have a country residential location or purpose, whatever it is. I know they're starting to move a little bit over there. Are we opening more country residential? Could that duplex be on a commercial lot or commercial rentals? I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I'm just concerned about the use of country residential being changed. And I heard it was for staff housing, so I don't know how that works either.
So I guess just for the record, it's not being changed from country residential. It will still be country residential. It's just a conditional use
Okay.
within that category as per our zoning bylaw.
So if they decide they want to put another duplex or put a duplex on the next lot
no, you can only
beside.
have one duplex per residential, commercial, per lot zone, per.
One duplex, because I know they're multi-family zone.
Multifamily, you need a different, and not allocation. You have like residential mobile home, and then you have residential country, and then you have like industrial, and then you have like,
But we aren't allowed mobile homes there either.
no, and so. Residential country is the one, that one and multifamily are the only two that allow, multi-unit dwellings, such as a condo, a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex, or what have you.
So that would all be allowed in country residential if they so chose.
No, only a duplex.
Only a duplex
Only
is
a
under
duplex.
country residential.
I got it right before me here, Barb, I may read it to you. Residential country, the purpose to provide a zone for residential development and complementary uses on larger lots in a rural setting. Now as principles of uses, parks and playgrounds, single detached dwellings. Secondary uses, accessory buildings and structures, sheds, barns, whatnot. Agriculture, minor impact, excluding personalized livestock. A garden suite, so you could build your main house
Separate
and
structure.
a separate
Oh,
in-law suite. Home occupation, living suite, a solar energy system roof mounted. Now, and then it goes into conditional uses where agriculture might impact, including personal livestock, bed and breakfast lodging, a childcare center could be built, a duplex dwelling, or a family day home.
So if they wanted then to take that kind of like that conversion fund grant money as well and build another place there because it's underutilized, could that also be a? I'm just trying to avoid that we get a bunch of rentals because the lots are cheaper, they're not serious. And people are gonna think, oh, here we can build these residential places and rent them out. Again, then people are able to use it for the country residential. Or the renters might not use it for the same.
No,
Okay, thank you.
I had the same conundrum today, too, Barb, so I looked up conditional uses up in different other bylaws and sections.
I couldn't find it.
So conditional use in bylaw refers to land uses that are, well, generally, compatible with zoning other areas require specific approval or conditions to be permitted for ensuring that they don't negatively impact the surrounding area. Here's a more detailed explanation. Zoning bylaws are permitted versus conditional use. So zoning bylaws outline which land uses are permitted and which are conditional within specific zoning categories. So conditional use is a use that is one, while generally consistent with the areas of the zoning, might have a unique characteristic or potential negative impact that could require a specific condition to or approval from council to ensure everyone's compatibility. So if you said, okay, you know, we're okay with your duplex, but because there's gonna be more people there in this area, now everyone should have a fence that is at least 6 feet high, so you can maintain some sort of privacy, as the West Jetskis had recommended in their submission for their rebuttal to said things.
So you're saying that that would maybe be a condition that would be imposed on the person who's renting the duplex as opposed to the other residents?
We're not, I don't think we're talking about imposing any agreements.
No. Yeah, but you're on the right track, you're on the right track. You could say that, you could say, okay, like,
Oh,
let this go ahead, and so for everyone's enjoyment, because, I mean. And specifically, if you're the one most concerned about, like, you'd be the first to build the fence, you would think.
no, my main concern is that they're taking a piece of property and changing the use so that maybe it's not going to be available for the use that it was intended. Like say for yourself, decided, okay, I'd like to move there and have a horse or something like that. And now because it's got a duplex and it's being rented out, nobody can have the enjoyment of using it as a country residential. That's basically.
But you can still use your property, however.
No, I don't mean mine. I'm talking about for other people coming in later on. Yeah. So that's all. It's just being removed from the market for the purpose that it was intended. That's all.
I see.
Okay,
Whereas or I can't speak for everyone else on council, but myself in particular. And part of the housing accelerator fund, and what we're really trying to do is to build places for people to live that are. Sort of like, that are, price wise, like
Yeah.
affordable.
No, I know. So that's one of the things with the country residential. It's really hard for anybody to build there because you don't have title, you can't get title until you're done with. So it's a really kind of a roundabout circle. So could other lots then be made available for people that want to build rental properties, the duplexes, whatever? That's not maybe gonna take away the use of a place that's already, just because it's available and has been available. You know, that's all I'm getting at.
okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. We'll take that into consideration. Courtney. Did you have anything for public hearing? Did you want to contribute at all?
Yes,
Thoughts?
I didn't want to say, because when I did get to say something once before, I kind of got interrupted, so I didn't get to finish it. And that was when we were on vacation in Ontario. But I still think that a nicer motel could be made into an apartment complex if somebody got in touch with the owners and offered them money, because apparently they're not many people are taking advantage of the housing accelerator program. There's, I don't even remember what the amount was, $1 million, $2 million, something like that, but that's a wonderful eyesore that could be like all fixed up and look great.
Well, there's probably a reason that.
Well, I think the reason, when I asked the question, it was just that the town can't really do it because we're not really set up for it, can't really do it. But YTG is able to do it. They're able to have houses that they make money off of. So if it were something that, you know, maybe it wouldn't even need a manager. Maybe it could just be independently done each room. Just kind of like a house.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's an interesting idea for sure. I'm not sure that that's a conversation that we've ever had before.
Yes.
And honestly, quite frankly, I don't know what the status is of that property, like the taxes are being paid. the taxes are being paid, so it's just kind of in the hands of the person who owns it at this point, so, unfortunately, I don't have any more information on that, but noted, thank you for that, suggestion, we'll certainly, take that into consideration.
Well, the only reason I mention this is because it'd be like 30 instant rooms right there. And you could make those into like little suites, whatever. But that would get some of the homeless people off the streets too. And I kind of, not really sure if I understand correctly, but of the housing areas that were all cleared, I understood that every other one was for low income housing. So I don't know how many people would want to even go out there.
I don't think that that's accurate, but we do have the Housing First project that is set to open any moment here, and that'll be, open up 10 units for those folks that need them. So, yeah, but thanks so much on that. Let's move to, Patrick, did you have anything you wanted to contribute, just since you're here? Okay, so we do have a couple people joining us on Zoom. One is Ruth. Ruth, of course, you submitted a written submission, so did you have anything you wanted to add to that, or are you good with? I can't hear you. Sorry, you're muted still. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. No, I'd like to add to mine just because I did get the letter concerning the one beside my house. But see, when in my letter, it does talk about if you let the duplex go in on one, then it's going already he's applied for another place. The person that purchased that. My argument is a lot the same as Barb's in the fact that we do have other properties that could be used for a duplex. I think that if Mr. Peters wanted to put a house in there next to wherever on Pine and then on Studenberg, I think we would have no objections immediately. But because it's a duplex, that's where I have an issue. I just think if there's properties, now I don't know the name of the streets, but the one across from DeVries is a big lot there. It could fit probably a few duplexes. So that would be a great place for him to put those in. So my letter was only for the one beside me because I was a neighbor, and that's why I was notified on that. And the main part is because it's going into duplex. I know he read that, Thomas read that in, or Mr. Councillor Slager wrote it in as that it was under conditional use, and that's why the application's been done. But I don't think that's a valid conditional use in this situation, in this subdivision.
Yeah, I please ask you one question, and that's just what, in your opinion, the difference is between why is a duplex an issue in that area versus, let's say, like a big house with 10 people living in it?
Say a Mormon family.
Or whatever. I'm just wondering what the difference is there.
The difference is that it's a multi-resident compared to being one building. So if somebody wanted to invest in a huge house and they had 10 people in it, that's no problem. That's under one roof. The other one's under one roof too, but it is two separate, it's two identities. And in our community, it would be probably rented, like Miss Barb Millen had said. So I just think that the neighborhood is very nice the way it is, as far as, with single homes and such. And I think that it's a good place to keep that. The next thing, then you say, well, I know that people had tried to get mobiles in one time. I'm pretty old compared to all you guys there. And I remember that was said, no, we have other places for those type of housing. So that's my argument. Okay. I'm sitting in a parking lot. So,
thank you.
So
yes, I can see that you're in your vehicle. I think you appreciate you taking the time to give us your thoughts here.
I would question as to what's the difference between a long-term rental as opposed to a short-term. Like when I'm talking short-term, like having an Airbnb or having somebody with with two families living in a home. How is that any different, or how is that any different than having a suite in your house that is a single family home, but then you build a suite in your house? Like, how is that different, Ruth? I'm just
Yeah.
asking.
And that's perfect to ask, because we built the house for a family, our family. When they left, then we had, that commercial where the kids are going out the driveway and the things start flying out. We did the reno and we put an apartment in there. That was under Yukon Housing when they were trying to get additional places to live. The difference I feel is because it's still just one house. The apartment has a separate entrance into it, but it's one house. It's not two different families, could be two different lifestyles. It could be two different ways of doing things. Both are, with mine, I'm the one that is renting it. So I'm renting it according to who would fit with living under us, if you want to say. So I don't know if that helps anything at all.
So I just wanted to just add, just for the sake of adding it, but we also have, garden suites as part of our zoning bylaw as well, which is literally the exact same thing, except they're not connected. But like, people can literally apply for a garden suite right now, which is two separate structures on the same property, and that could happen on either of those lots as well, according to the zoning bylaw as it is right now, or any lot in this town for that matter. In fact, I think there's some other properties in Bellevue that have inquired about that exact use, not a duplex, in the way that we're talking about it now, but having a separate structure on the property, which is like a rental, property.
Yeah.
Can I just say that I think too that the owners in Bellevue, mostly the owner lives in that residence as well. So here, the owner's gonna be absent, and there's gonna be comings and goings that are, it's not the same as renting. It's not the same as if you're renting a duplex, as if you're renting a basement or a garden suite. You're still living on the property.
It's still their primary residence.
Yes, that's right. Okay, they're the primary residence of the owner, yes.
Yeah,
So
thank you for that.
your worship, with the one property, the one applicant said they would be living in half of the duplex. Like one side of it.
Interesting.
So
Yeah,
are
but
we talking- No, go ahead, Ruth.
oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, but people can say whatever, right? It's like,
Exactly.
you know,
But we can't, I guess, your worship.
you can't dictate that.
We can't say they're not gonna live in the other side as well, right? We have to take them on what's presented.
Yeah, but that's not what this discussion's about.
No.
No.
So, okay, well, thank you. We'll be taking all of this into consideration for sure. Did you have anything else, Ruth, at this moment?
No, but
I
my objection would also be for the other duplex.
Oh,
So
okay.
I didn't do that in my letter because I only had a letter concerning me as a neighbor to the
I have a
other.
question. Where are people allowed to live then?
Well, where the lots open so that people can build the place.
Well, if that lot didn't exist, they would be able to buy it, right?
He can buy it, just don't put a duplex on it.
Well, I'm just saying, like, at some point, people, it's a lot of NIMBYism. They've been sitting in this chair for a while.
They were gonna build it to rent it to an employee.
Yes, and I
Well,
agree with that.
for,
I think that's.
Get out and get out.
What these people are saying, to be honest with you.
Okay.
That's been what's
There's
been
lots,
for a long
yeah.
time, lots are not available.
So we're just hearing from the public tonight, and then we're going to be discussing this further at our next council meeting, which will be on April 15th, I believe.
So that's what I did bring up, is there was a commercial area that someone who wants to live.
Well, it wouldn't be commercial, it would still be residential.
Okay, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's not country
It would still be
residential,
residential.
what I'm getting at.
Okay, so there's one or two more people in the Zoom gallery. Oh, sorry, Ruth, one last quick point. Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
one quick thing is, but the duplexes could be in the new subdivision, right?
Currently, your worship, duplexes can be on any residential lot in the municipality other than residential mobile home lots. So any lot in Watson Lake can have a duplex on them under the current zoning other than trailer lots.
Even M1 and M2?
Well, that's
Within residential.
residential.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Was that?
Thank you.
that's it? Okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so next, Blues, which is Crossings. Do you have anything to add to the open hearing? Public hearing, excuse me? Okay, we'll just maybe give them a minute. I also see Button on, in the gallery. Button, did you wanna chime in on this discussion? Is there anybody out there? Okay, so we will take that as you are not able to unmute yourself. I'm just kidding. Okay, so if there's no further discussion on this right now from the public, I will just ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing regarding 207 Studenberg Boulevard conditional use.
And
The conditional use of 205 Pine Way.
thank you. In a second? Second, Billy, and all in favor, closing hearing. Thank you, that will pass. And just to, what I mentioned a moment ago, this discussion will now go to the April 15th meeting, and that's typically, regular council meeting, but we will make some time to have a discussion about this. In the.
And at that point, is it a final decision or is it a
No,
one first and second reading and then third reading type thing?
Um,
can I ask a
The
procedural check?
yeah, conditional use, so it would just be council approving it, it wouldn't be a zone, it's not a zoning bylaw.
I personally think that we should discuss it first and then table it again, just so that we have time to.
I'm okay with the April 15th.
Oh,
Absolutely, yeah.
okay. Okay, great, so we'll leave it there then. Thank you to everyone for contributing to that discussion. Next up, we have the CAO report, so CAO Lockwood, the floor is yours.
Your report is in front of you, your report.
Thank you.
Package, sorry.
Oh, I know, did you want me to read it?
Oh, no, it was just a written submission for you, in case there was questions, I'm here to answer them.
Oh, I thought you were gonna
No, I wasn't.
present it,
I wasn't gonna leave my behind, but I will if you wish.
maybe just like high level, would be nice just for the record, maybe.
Okay, so.
On your best guesstimate, can I interrupt you, just maybe to be a focus? On your best guesstimate, what will the lots come out to being like price per lot around the new Francis Ave extension? Ballpark,
We literally don't even know any of that,
I know, that's.
I have no idea, I've heard
it's been crickets,
it, yeah,
has it?
But-
Sorry.
I've been told that between 50 and 70, but that was just numbers that was shipped out. So I've been asking for, and I've got emails, stating that we want to have those conversations, they haven't taken place yet. So, the minute I know, I'll let you know. So, on my update, infrastructure, the work's gonna begin in the spring, we actually have a meeting tomorrow, which they're gonna talk about, dates for them scaling up. We have, I've got a list of the work that's gonna be completed this spring. We've submitted our funding application, as council knows, for the municipalities, Canadian Housing Infrastructure Fund. We're waiting on a response. Unfortunately, it seems to be a little distraction called the federal election going on right now. And Yukon government has also applied for the ISIP funding for phase 1C. With that work slated to start in 2027. So that will complete, if we get both funding pots approved, that will complete Y Drive. and the core of town here, the south side of highway as well, and I believe resurfacing of Bellevue. But all that stuff is sitting in Ottawa, and, I know they looked at our application for the Canadian Housing Infrastructure Fund, because they responded within the first week looking for clarity, but answers. So, which is amazing for Ottawa, and nobody looks at anything that quick down there. The next project is the rec center renovations. As you may remember, we applied to the Green Inclusive Community Buildings Fund on October 15th. And that application was for $25 million. I checked again before the meeting tonight, and it just says that our application's been submitted. So we have no idea what's going on there. HVAC, that's the COVID HVAC money that we received from the federal government and Yukon government, to the tune of, I think, 2.1 million. That work contract has been given to Budget Heating, and that work is slated to start this spring, and with proposed completion for November. So that'll replace all the rec center HVAC, zone valves, everything in there, admin, air handlers in this building, and the Northern Lights Sound unit heaters. There's really no new update on the dry hydrants. We're still chasing funding on it. Francis Avenue, I did provide council with an update letter or emails from them. They're looking at commissioning the lift station mid-April. Water treatment plant boilers, boilers are on site, work is slated to be completed in April. Cemetery, work is moving ahead there. We have currently 9 new plots are surveyed and ready to go. So that gives us 12 plots that are available, I should say 11 as of yesterday. Playground work slated to begin the summer. Our staff has been meeting the contractor. Everything's on par. Work on the dog park will be completed this summer as well. Rec center boiler project. We're working with the engineers and design, because with the boilers, it's triggered some need for some more engineering to actually design actual certified boiler room, fireproof walls. So that's going ahead. I'm working to procure the new flagpoles from the capital budget. Actually, I was amazed, I got the one quote in today, and the price has not changed since we bought the last flagpoles.
That's great news.
And actually,
One thing that hasn't increased in price.
and actually, and the other thing that actually did change was they actually quoted about $1,000 less on freight. So I'm waiting on another quote, but the price is very favorable. The White Lake Trail, Signpost Forest stuff, environmental assessment's been done by YESUB. Well, yeah, so since this report was done for you guys last week, actually YESUB has given their decision document. It came in late Friday, and they've actually approved for the project to move forward with only two conditions on the recommendation. We still have to deal with the DFO on a couple little things, but at least we're moving ahead. And the other thing that's been submitted, actually went in yesterday, was the active transportation funding application. Currently, that project, council may remember, council approved the funding to do that project under our Canada Community Build Fund money or gas tax money. But since that was approved, federal government has opened up active transportation fund money, and we've applied for just under $800,000 from that fund for this project. So that'll free up our gas tax money to stay in our account.
Have you been approved for that? Or it's just an
There's
application?
just an application went in yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And then the other thing, as everybody in town knows, we had an incident with one of our pieces of equipment, which took down power and fiber optic in the community. Our insurance company's been fully engaged. The adjuster was here yesterday and evaluated the truck. We have an employee that is off work on compensation / disability through our insurance. And that's all I can say about that in an open forum, because it involves employees and potential legal. So if there's any other questions on that, it will have to go in calendar.
Not more,
Thank you,
it's not an employee thing, but, so it's something, people that had something, had to get their lines fixed. Went through their insurance, you didn't go through their insurance, get the bill, send it to the town, or else,
Well,
how do we direct the
our
town?
insurance company is directing everybody to go through their own insurance company. And then the insurance companies will sort it out from there. For people that don't have insurance, I'm waiting for another call back with our insurance company to see how they will entertain those. That's it.
What are they paying for?
Yeah, that was my question.
So some people are putting in claims because there was a power surge and maybe some equipment got short circuited.
Oh, I see.
Some because of when the lines were pulled, there was maybe power meters pulled off a house. And the actual fiber lines came down on some houses, so there was some damage. So there is potential for some insurance claims against the municipality. And then the other one is we'll receive bills from Northwest Cal and ATCO for the repairs as well. So there's potential for legal and employee action. That's hence the reason that I would have to put in camera.
Thank you for that. Thank you for the update on all of the things that you're working on.
And then one that isn't on here, your worship, is that work is proceeding with the renovations at the Northern Lights Center for the move-in of the Visitors Information Center. There's painting and that kind of stuff going on, and they're slated to be open for May 1st, and we're dealing with
First bug of the year.
flies flying around there going. So we're working on joint staffing and all kinds of wonderful things over there. And so that is proceeding as we speak.
Awesome. That sounds great. I guess speaking of staffing, I saw that the municipality posted all of the jobs for seasonal workers for the pool and whatnot. When does that close?
It was advertised for 3 weeks, so it'll close
I think.
another week and a half maybe.
And what's the goal date to have the pool open?
We're aiming for beginning of May is what we're aiming for, because our students will be back. And we are actually gonna be doing swimming lessons this year, which is real big bonus. And all our staff university kids are gonna be back at the beginning of May. And so we're really looking forward to having that going early. Which is a really exciting thing for the community. And the other thing that we have advertised, the only position other than the student positions that's advertised is the maintenance position. And it's advertised, we advertised it internally first and got no applications from internal. The rec caretaker position was advertised internally. And we've had 3 candidates internally, so that position will be filled. No, caretaker is like Parks and Rec caretaker,
So maintenance.
like maintenance, so that position is actually one that's is on a long-term disability, so we've met with the union and we're actually filling that position.
Great, thank you so much. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the infrastructure funding. Like you said, I'm sure it has everything to do with the federal election, although I'm curious to know if there's still bureaucrats working in the.
They will be, but
Background.
there's no stamping or approval of projects unless there's
Right.
signature.
So. I guess what does that look, I guess it's so hard to say, but like, what does that look like? As far as being able to get the work done
The only work that, your worship, you're gonna see this year would be the continuation of last year's work, the wrap up of it. And then depending on when we hear on funding, there might, cause the design work and stuff, for the stuff that we put in for is already moved ahead. So, but by the time we get into tender processes and stuff, there is some other work there's some leftover work on. From last year's there, we've probably got just over $1 million available that we're actually piecemealing projects around the community that will be done under the water and sewer stuff. So there will be some work, but it won't be the big, like you see, massive work. 2026, if we get the funding, will be full bore, and 2027 forward based on
Right.
the funding blocks. So we have a 1 year lag.
And I know I've asked you this before, but I'm asking you again because I can't remember what you said, but because we applied for the CHIP funding, the direct to municipality stream, does that render us ineligible from accessing the one that goes through the territorial government? The other
No,
stream?
it does not,
So we don't like lose our place in the queue or anything like that?
not at all.
Yeah, okay. That's great. Does anyone else have any questions? Sorry, I just kinda over there.
Just, what's that mean? Anything additional to this will need to be discussed in camera?
That means your worship, where we, kick everybody out of the room other than council,
Okay,
and then it would be under confidential.
Anything to do
Legal
with
policy.
staff or legal?
that's fine.
All right, anything else right now?
I just didn't know what it meant.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it is, yeah, that's me, confidential, yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks again, CAO. So we'll move right along to this admin report for the SCBA's. Have we seen this admin report before?
Your worship, this is the original admin report on the SCBA went to council for capital funding, but we've added in the recommendation section on the end.
So has everyone had a chance to review this? We did talk about it. I'm sure I read this, oh geez, I think it was the night that we did the meeting right before we did third and final on the budget, because we were looking to add this in, and change the funding source. Just, I guess, really high level, the current equipment that we have is Timex. The recommendation, from not only our fire chief, but the NFPA, which are the Canadian standards for fire equipment, says that we need to replace them. We have the funds, access to the funds now, to purchase a full kind of complement of equipment. And then we're good for 15 years on that. So the recommendation, there's two here. This went out to tender. We had 2 bids. Both that were under budget for a change, which is amazing. But as I mentioned earlier, typically we would put this off to the next meeting for decision, but this is kind of time sensitive just to lock those prices in. So asking for a motion tonight if everyone is in agreement with that. So I'll just maybe read out the recommendation if hopefully everybody had a chance to review this. Okay, so I'll just read the implications actually. So financial implications. The town council previously approved a budget of $230,000 for the procurement of self-containing breathing apparatuses or SCBA units. We are fortunate that the final tender bids for the equipment came in significantly lower than expected, resulting in considerable savings. On okay, sorry, I'm just trying to skim this. So they went out to tender, which resulted in 2 competitive bids, one from Associated Fire Safety Group and the other from Brogan Fire and Safety. So the one from the bid that we got from Brogan Fire and Safety, I'll give you the tender price before GST because the GST we get back. So the total tender price from Brogan Fire and Safety was $182,365 before GST. And then the bid from Associated Fire Safety Group was for $170,385.57 before GST. So we budgeted $230,000. So these both tenders are well under budget, which is great. So the recommendation from the fire chief is that the town council proceed with the purchase from Associated Fire Safety Group as it offers a cost savings of $11,979.43 compared to the alternative bid. And furthermore, both tender bids are for identical equipment, ensuring that the quality and specifications remain consistent. And this decision supports fiscal responsibility while securing the required equipment at the most competitive price. So I would ask now for any discussion, or questions or anything on that.
Well, if it's the exact same equipment, then I make a motion to accept the Rip Pack. Tender bid for the amount of $170,904.85, which was a little less than $12,000 cheaper than the alternative.
There's your worship, there is a motion on the bottom of the page, if that makes it easier.
But I motion that we accept the bid received from Associated Fire for the supply of the Scott Pro SCBA units, masks, cylinders, and Rip Pack in the amount of $170,904.87, not including taxes, be accepted. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for the motion. Do we have a second?
Second that.
Thank you, Councillor Pickett. Any, I guess, discussion around that? Okay, if not, I'll call the question. All in favor of approving that motion? All right, that passes unanimously, so thank you. That's great news for the fire department and great news for us that it's under budget and we won't have to talk about that for 15 years. Or maybe 13, so we can get ahead of it. Okay, so now moving on to the fun stuff. Animal control bylaw.
I wondered how we wanted to do this, because
Yes,
last time when we looked at these, like,
we went through it pretty fulsomely, if that is a word.
and some, like, I think that, I know we gave it sort of to administration and then they kind of tidied it up and they give it back to us, so I don't know how you wanted to.
So I mean, in the interest of time and the fact that it's already almost 8 o'clock, I guess we could just, assuming everybody's had a chance to review these, we could just go through and hear any issues or things that stood out to you that are kind of top of mind that you're either in agreement with or that you're not in agreement with, or Edwin, were there any specific points that you were looking for feedback on? Or, I mean, to me, reviewing it and going through all the things that, and thank you to your staff for highlighting the stuff that was amended and the stuff that was added in. I mean, there's a lot of it that seems really pretty straightforward. I know we were looking at the rooster issue for the chickens. I mean, we can have some more discussion about that, but it seems to be, I mean, just on that one issue.
Well, don't you need a rooster to make?
I know, but so this is the thing, is a lot of the other municipalities say you can't have a rooster. But that's probably within the municipal boundary. And so one conversation that we were having when we talked about this last was that, okay, well, maybe you can have a rooster if it's country res, but not residential. Do you know what I mean? So that it's not where all the houses are like close together. And then I also, funny enough, and just completely separate, I was on a social media platform and I actually saw somebody else that I don't even know talking about this very thing and how they're from a municipality in Ontario and they were talking about the exact same thing about how they had this chicken and that they weren't allowed, if it's a rooster, they didn't know if it was a baby, they didn't know if it was a rooster or a hen. They said if it's a rooster, we have to get rid of it because we're not allowed to have it here. But that they had a place for it to go or whatever. So it seems to be, and I just thought that was like funny coincidence that we're literally talking about that exact thing right now. But so it seems to be a pretty common theme that they're not allowed, at least in the residential area, at least where we're more densely populated. I personally don't see an issue. We do have some country residential properties within the municipal boundary. I personally don't see an issue with that. I mean, maybe other places where there are close together, maybe the neighbors would have something to say about it, but I think
of one person who could complain.
yes.
I mean, there's a lot of shift workers too that would be.
So I don't wanna give them the ammunition to complain.
Yeah,
So therefore, I would like to see anything to do with roosters or noise, or anything like that out of it, and let the neighbors work it out themselves like human beings should. But I don't wanna see it written down in law to give them like I say, the gunpowder in which to use against their neighbor, because that's just the way
Is
they
that
are.
person in the residential area, R1?
Probably, might be, I don't know. We'll talk, but like, but that's just the thing, you know, like these laws that we're coming up with, and the reason why we're sitting in these seats is to think about like how to make people's lives better without making them worse. And a lot of times when people just like were decent with one another, when
I know, but I think that there are a lot of people that would argue that their lives would be worse if there was a rooster next door.
I would not wanna have a rooster next door to me.
Anyway, that's just one thing that we've been,
I could put out a rooster if I like give your like neighbor dropped off eggs every now and then, said, hey, thanks for putting up with this. You know?
okay. So let's just go around the table then, and just, if you wanna just
I'm okay with roosters.
mention any other things as far
I
as
have
the
mine,
amendments.
I kind of read mine apart, I have quite a few online, so.
So why don't you
that's
just-
why I was asking.
So why don't you start the discussion and let's just go through, we'll follow along in our copy.
One other thing, that was it.
Okay.
I like the fact that we're looking to rehome animals rather than to destroy them.
Mhm.
No,
Are we? Oh, yeah, sorry.
And some other type of stuff.
Okay.
But other than that, I was happy with how it was written.
So we could also just start at the, thank you for that, we could also just start at the beginning and go through and just kind of skim through this together. And we can just go over it really high level, and if there's something that jumps out at anyone that you want to speak on, we can just. Or what?
well, my first one is 409 and 411. They're kind of one and the same. It says no person shall use an animal like a license tag on a cat or dog to whom it's not registered. And then they talk about a license issued under this bylaw should not be transferable from one cat or dog to another. And so it's kind of the same. So that's
Do you
right.
really care if he looks the same when they put it on the same cat?
And then
Like it's a little redundant is what you're saying?
yeah, like
Yeah.
you're basically saying the same thing. Anyway, and then, cause I know we've copied and pasted this from other things, so we just tidying it up, that's all. And then for 10, it says every like, I just don't like the wording.
Are you on item 10? Sorry, I'm trying to follow along with you.
4.10.
Oh, I see, gotcha, yeah.
So I just didn't like the wording of it. I just felt like every license and permit issued under this bylaw shall be effective from whatever, and then with the exception of a lifetime license, I just felt like that could be put there, and
Do you
then,
have, do you have a suggestion for alternate wording?
yeah, I do. Not where I have it, so I.
Do you wanna read it? Do you wanna
Okay,
read it
yeah,
to us
no,
now?
for sure, I can read it.
To say clearly so that when they listen to the audio back, they can
Yeah.
transcribe it.
Every license and permit issued under this bylaw shall be effective from the first day of January or the date of issuance until and including the 31st of December in that calendar year, with the exception of a lifetime license. So it's just basically,
Oh, you just want that,
In that-
moved around a little?
yeah,
Oh, okay,
That's
got you. That's a friendly amendment.
yeah, that's an easy one. And then on section 5. It says on 5.01, no owner of an animal shall permit such animal thrown at large, and where such animal is found at large, it shall be deemed to be within the consent of the owner. But then 5.05, any animal not controlled in accordance with this bylaw shall be deemed to be running at large. It kind of talks about the animal running at large already. So I'm not sure if we need that.
Or combine the points or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we need that one.
Okay,
Then I'm not sure why we need some of these big words, like thereupon, what does that even mean?
which point is that under?
So 5.07, thereupon is used often throughout this bylaw, so some of the wording is just, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you're
Make
right,
it
and
plain
we did talk about this.
English,
Like if we can,
yeah, it's just kind of make it
is
plain.
there a rule that says that we have to use that type of language? Like, can we make it a little more layman?
Yes.
You can read, you
Okay.
can make it however you want.
Yeah.
The Dawson City stuff.
Well, because, we've obviously revised a good bulk of the bylaws in this, town and modernized them, but I know like back in the day, they were worded in such a way, like, I was kind of led to believe that that was like the format that they had to be in, but I mean, unless you've been around those bylaws, like, they're kind of hard to figure out, but I mean, fortunately, we've revised a lot of them, but so I just never knew if that was like a.
And it's not all throughout the whole thing, it just seems like there's the odd one where there's this weird language and it just, why do we even need it?
Well, I think also this is a draft, right? So we're getting like draft, and we're also borrowing pieces from a lot of other
Yeah,
bylaws, so
for
like
sure.
if it's coming from like, Tom said, or Councilor Slager, if it's coming from like Dawson, like their bylaws are super wordy,
True.
you know,
And
and so
five-
it's, so.
And 507. Okay, you don't even need that in there, like you could, as it reads, you just don't even, yeah. Anyways, and then 510, I just felt like it needed to be worded a little bit different, so. So on public land within the town or on private property, other than the owners. Anyways, it should be like the owner or person taking care or control of an animal shall be responsible for cleaning up and properly disposing of the defecation on public land when, you know, and then it says on public land within the town or private property other than the owner. So
It's a nice way of saying something not so nice, that we all know what it says, but
it's such a jumble there. It's like no owner shall allow an animal.
you just
to-
want it maybe streamlined a little, or like,
Make it sound a little bit easier to read. Okay.
right.
607 and then 604 are kind of the same in section 6. The 604, an officer shall impound the animal upon such time as the owner satisfies the owner that the animal is no longer a public nuisance and following payment by the owner of impoundment fees and such other expenses relating to the impounding, licensing and fee care of an animal. And then this one, so that's 604, and then 6.07 says, where an animal is impounded under the provision of the bylaw, such animal may be recovered from the owner within 3 business days after. I think after being impounded on payment of all prescribed fees, it's kind of one and the same. So I
You wanna
think
see those points like somehow amalgamated?
somehow there.
Is that what you're saying though?
Yeah,
Just-
I
okay.
think 6.09, there's like a typo there after breathe.
After what?
I think after breathe, at least one. Oh, maybe that's supposed to be there, I'm not sure.
There's, oh, yeah, what is that? Is it a?
One, at least one place within the municipality. So impounded, so if you can't connect with somebody, an officer shall locally advertise the impoundment of the animal with a description of the breed. At least one place.
I think it's supposed to be in at least.
In at least, it's a typo.
It's a typo there, yeah.
Circle, yeah.
Sorry, when I read this, then, yeah, I have that circle too. At least one place in the municipality, anyway. And I don't know if we wanna put where, I'm not sure. Anyway, so 6.14, I think we can eliminate there or portion there of that the animal shall have been. I think we can eliminate that. 6.16, there's a typo there. Everywhere else we have numbers written and this one here has it spelled out. So I just thought it should be a 3 instead of written as a 3. Just for consistency. 6.18, I think could kind of go underneath 6.12. It sort of just doesn't, it follows a little better suit there. And I think 7.05, is that an AB? Is that a typo too,
It's a
Ken?
typo, yes.
Okay, thank you. There's a couple of those. There's one in 8.08 as well. Anyway, so then I think here 8.05, I just kind of had a question about that, about are the conservation officers, are they involved? Like in respect to like, we're talking about pathology, suspected,
Yes.
like, okay, so it was not, I didn't see that on here. Anyway,
They're
so
not, your worship, they're not listed because their authority falls under the Animal Protection and Control Officer's authority.
oh, so we don't need them on here. Okay, thank you. 8.08, there's another typo there, with and then I thought that where it says shall be borne by, I think it would be read nicer, be the responsibility of the owner of such horse. Anyways, 8.09. I think that's been spoken so much in previous sections, I'm not sure that we need it, but maybe you want it there
Yeah, just mention that we pay the fees
a lot.
a few times, so maybe it's an amalgamation of those.
Yeah.
If it makes sense.
And 8.10 is the same thing, it's spoken about in other sections, so I'm not sure that we need it there.
Sorry, what was the
8.10,
8.10?
where an animal has been quarantined.
Oh, yeah, we mentioned the three business
It's,
days.
yeah, and then I wasn't sure about the wild animals, when we talk about that here.
Oh, so,
Because we have our wild animal bylaw, so I wondered if we needed it, anything like that here. It's just a thought, it's just a question.
well, that other one's just on the feeding, right? It was just about feeding specifically.
Okay, I did look at
So
it,
this is more about like the care and the,
your ownership and
the treatment.
responsibility to take care of
mhm.
it, okay,
That's how I read it anyway.
okay, no, and that's good. And then 11.03. So that. There was just some wording, so notwithstanding the provision of this bylaw, the holder of a permit to operate a kennel or animal shelter shall at the time. The business
Issued.
license is issued. Anyway,
We'll take that.
is issued, shall be issued, because there's a spelling type
Yeah,
there.
go there.
3 animal table. I just kind of felt like we needed to type that. Anyway, and then 11.04, it says at the bottom, immediate charge and control of, I think it says some competent, a competent and responsible person. That's kind of a grammar. Am I the only one that ripped this thing apart?
Yes.
Leave that way. Sorry. Anyway.
On to chicken.
14.04, no application for a special permit if the ownership of more than 2 dogs or 2 cats shall be considered under section 12.03 unless the applicant shall provide the town at the time of application. And then on the bottom, I said agreeing that the owning of.
Sorry, did you say you're on 1203?
14.04.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then just so, and agreeing in writing on a form prescribed by the town, agreeing that the owning of the permitted animals will not be for gain or profit. So the cats or dogs will not be for gain or profit. I don't
So that's
understand that.
if they're running like a puppy
A
mill.
puppy mill or something, hey? Okay, all right. And then maybe that was just me trying to figure that out. And then I think this was just 14.06, 8. I think that should be a written form there just to follow suit with everything else. 14.07, the provision of sections 12.04 to 12.06, there is no 12.06.
Yeah.
And then the owner, the provision of shall not apply to owners temporary in town for a period not exceeding 3 weeks. Okay, so, and then, so I wrote on here, you can bring a horse to stay on someone's property, like, so that's the weirdness about this, because 1204. So it says property livestock within municipal boundaries. So if you're talking about livestock, so that means you can bring a horse, you can bring whatever you want, so I'm not sure that that's,
That falls under our definitions in the zoning bylaw.
okay,
So there's minor and major. So it's laid out in there, but it's conditional use, so like it's only, country res, to have a horse or anything on those properties, it's a conditional use. So you have to come to council as we did. So the only zoning that currently that allows everything is rural residential, which is our agricultural zone. In other zoning areas, like in other communities, under their zoning, you're allowed to have more than 2 dogs and 2 cats in certain zones. So example would be rural residential, because it's the bigger acreages, so there wouldn't be caps on that type of stuff there. And then the other one, your worship, that I believe that I have issues with, and I didn't catch it until tonight, actually, today, was under 8.06. And it talks about horses in the municipal boundaries with equine infectious anemia. I honestly don't know how we would ever enforce that. The only way to prove that an animal's been diagnosed with that is to have blood work taken and sent to a federal lab for testing. It's not something where, yeah, and it's regulated by the federal vet. It's something that we wouldn't be able to enforce.
What is that like?
It's
like,
I hate to say.
It's bad. It's bad.
Okay,
The worst
and then 14.09, that should be reworded and maybe put in section. No permit shall be issued for the ownership of poultry or livestock unless the applicant shall provide the town at the time of application. So I would be under section, but I'm not sure because we're talking about poultry and livestock.
Yeah, I think we need to.
Is that because this is a special permit? If it's said in writing in such a manner prescribed with the town of property owners, whose property is located within 100 meters of the boundaries of the property of the applicant, which the poultry and livestock will be covered and in agreement in writing in such a manner prescribed to town, permitting them agreeing and agreeing. So I don't know if that one should be there.
I think it needs to be streamlined and put for its applicable zonings, right, what's allowed.
Yeah, it needs to be put somewhere.
Includes chickens and livestock.
Sorry, which point though?
Oh, 13.09, and I thought 14.10 would be the same. Removal of the permit shall not be required. Shall not require the adjoining property owner's consent unless the complaint has been received by the town in the previous year.
So I think with that one, that's where we go through it and we come back with a proposal and for the zones it's applicable. You put that, you need permission of your neighbors.
Okay.
But for the, like I say, the RR zoning, I think it's a new
Fine.
point because it's in your strategic plan and everything, it talks about, or in the OCP, talks about trying to encourage sustainability, right?
Mhm.
So
For sure, and absolutely.
Zoning, our own bylaws.
And then in 15.05, there's this, so on the third line, it says December on the SA something, yes,
Same,
typo,
same.
It's a typo.
and then here there shall be added to and form part of taxes, then there's something mistaken there, payable. And then the 16, I just thought where it says 16.01 at the very bottom, council may grant, I thought it might make, council may make a decision instead of grant. The requested, because when you say they may grant it, to me, it sounds like they will grant it, they will make it, they will agree with it. So I just thought, maybe, I don't know. Anyways,
Oh, like it says, like it's definitely going to be,
like make
like
it,
they're gonna,
yeah, that's how it reads, that's how it makes me think, when you grant something, they may
like
grant.
that's gonna go ahead no matter, but
Yeah.
it says may.
May grant, but I just feel like
They
they're
may
able
not.
to make a decision, right? I just want to
Yeah.
make a decision, I don't know if that
Word
word
may.
may part, but I'm happy to pass it over to Cam if they wanna.
Thank you very much for that extensive review. Appreciate that. Does anybody else around the table have anything to add to that at this time? So I'm just asking, CAO, you already kind of mentioned the one that stood out to you, but anything else from an administrative standpoint, that we're missing here that, we need to be considering in order for this to be enforceable?
No, but that's the one that really stuck out, and then like I said, I wanna really look at the wording where livestock's used. To make sure to see how that relates to our other bylaw.
Okay,
Well,
so,
and I do appreciate, Cam, that you have your farm. And so I know some of the stuff on here, I haven't looked at it from that lens, so I appreciate the fact that you're looking at it from that lens because
yeah,
it's
And
such an anomaly
and
that
that's-
we don't.
and that's why I also think we need to have different, almost like different rules for residential versus country residential or agriculture, whatever that is, rural residential, because it is so different, yet we have all of them within the municipal boundary.
Yeah.
So,
common test for horses, isn't that mandatory?
The-
Or they change that?
you don't have to mandatorily do it,
Okay.
Is that what would test for that
Yeah.
thing? Oh.
Yeah. They call it Collins test,
Collins test,
is the layman's term for doing
Because it was
that.
mandatory, they came down and did mine one time and they lost 2 months.
Yeah,
They went down.
yeah, there's no, in the territory or in Canada, there's no legal testing, but if your horse is tested
Yeah.
or has been in contact with another horse that tests positive,
Yeah.
then the federal vet orders a quarantine of the property, and it's happened here in town. It's happened twice in town in the last 8 years. So one was Wilkinson's property, which is only across the road from mine. Their property was quarantined, but mine wasn't. And you can't tell me that, you can't tell me that a fly doesn't fly across the width of the road, right? But, so they quarantine and then they do one test and then come back 6 weeks later and do another follow-up test. And that same thing happened at the rodeo grounds. Yeah, rodeo grounds, this riding association now has a policy that any horse housed at the rodeo grounds must be tested. Good. Every year, so, that looks after that. I don't test my horses because I don't take them to the rodeo grounds. And, you know, the testing is hundreds of dollars a year. And you have to haul your horses, the white horses to be tested or another vet. So for me, it's not worth it. But other properties do, and that's fine. But like I say, the testing is hundreds of dollars for the municipality to enforce it. It's impossible. We'd have to have a vet, we'd have to pay for a vet to come down, take a sample, drive the white horse, send it to a federal lab, wait for the 3 weeks or whatever it is to get the test results to come back. It's a federal offense. It's a federal thing for testing. Like I say, it's not required, it's not a mandatory, but I think we should leave that in the realm of the federal government.
No,
And not municipality, because we could, yeah, it's not worth the lawsuits that we could get into.
Yeah. Thank you.
I just wanna make one more comment.
Sure.
So I do like in Dawson's where it talks about, a sign could be displayed at the entrance of a property and building in which there's a dangerous dog kennel. So if we were to deem somebody dangerous, dog dangerous,
Something if you wear a dog.
yes.
Well,
Is there some capacity?
that causes,
But I.
the minute somebody puts a sign out, beware a dog or anything, that means you know your dog is violent and you're accepting legal
Responsibility.
liability.
Okay,
And so I think to put people in that spot, I think the only for us to deal is the dogs as one-on-one.
okay,
Because if there's a dog and an animal, and territorial animal control will be involved if there's a dog bite. Because the minute there's a dog bite, we get the hospitals involved. Animal controls involved, and so is the chief medical officer of health. So I think for talking about signs, I think that's really sticking.
Have you had,
Somebody's neck out.
have you had to deal with that?
Yeah,
Since you've been here?
yeah, we've
With
got-
dog bite like that?
yeah, we have, yeah, and the dogs have to be quarantined, there's all kinds of rules that have
Okay.
to jump through.
My next question for you, sorry, were you done?
yeah.
No, my next question for you is just as far as next steps. This will go back to admin now, for some review, amendments, whatnot.
Yeah.
When do we see this again?
You could see it again on the 15th, if you wanted. Tiffany is back on the 9th.
Can you just remind me where we're at, like, have we even opened our readings on this yet? Have we ever-
Well, yeah, it's.
We did first,
before
probably.
You guys have done first reading, so we
Okay.
could come back for second reading on the 15th. And then you could have it to look at final input or any changes on the May committee of the whole. And then it can come back to the May 20th meeting for final.
Yeah, so how's everybody feeling about that? Comfortable to take it to second reading on the 15th, assuming all amendments we discussed today were,
Animal control,
yeah.
yes, yes.
Because we'll still have the opportunity to provide any, like, we'll review it again, we'll do second reading, review it again, and then.
I'd like to table the fees and charges under bylaw until next meeting, it's just tired, there's not a whole heck of a lot in there that I really wanna change anyway, but there's there's a few things I'd like to get into, I just don't have
I would like to read the admin report
we could do that,
and then,
or do you want to just get it done fast?
Well, yeah, your worship, I think that bylaw is pretty important. I wouldn't want to rush it.
I'd like to table it because we've gone through a lot of stuff and like, just getting my feet wet again, it's a lot.
okay, so.
And it's not like pressing. I don't believe like it's like, there's not anything in there that's like.
Can we discuss this again on can we table this to the 15th?
Is she-
Do we need a motion for that?
Oh, yeah.
Can you please make a motion?
Can I let's see. I make a motion to table the fees and charges amendment bylaw 2025-042 to the May 15th meeting.
For discussion.
May 15th or
April.
April 15th?
April.
April, good.
It's all good for discussion, right?
Yeah.
You can make it a second, get a second, okay, and all in favor of tabling. Okay, that will pass, thank you. So with that, we will move on to gallery open forum. Is there anyone in the gallery that would like to say anything, Courtney or Patrick?
Yes, I guess I will say something. I think that the only getting to say something once every other meeting is, if you're gonna come, I think you should be able to say something good, because if you carry it over, you end up never saying it anyway. And does it hurt? Is there any way to get it done?
I'm not sure what the
Can that be?
process is on
Yeah,
that, but
under the way it's written in the act, it limits it to gallery open forum only in committee local meetings.
oh, okay, yeah, so it's has something to do with the municipal act, but I mean, we can bring that forward as a suggestion for the municipal act review, because that is, I mean, that's likely not gonna happen within the current government territorial government term, but it needs to be reviewed because it's a super old act that is due for some revisions, so we can certainly keep a note of that for when the time is.
And the
for that.
worship, the community as a whole has the opportunity to approach any of the councilors or the mayor at any time to bring forward concerns. So, you know, if you have a concern that you want to talk about, you can bring it forward to any of the councilors at any time.
But it is nice to just hit everybody in one whack.
Yeah,
For sure.
But then they would bring it forward at the next meeting, right? Because they could bring things, councilors can bring things forward at every meeting where the gallery can't.
So can I say one more thing? I know that I had heard last spring that the prices had changed for the business owners that were wanting signs, for the urban signs on each end of town. I see that there's still a whole lot of places, and that you all at one point had decided to drop those prices. But has anybody told any of the business owners that they're dropped?
There, your worship, there's been letters went out to, there was documentation went out to the businesses, as far as I know, and, some signs were removed, other signs were added, there's more signs to go up. And those prices and stuff is part of the conversation that's in the fees and charges bylaw, which should be on the 15th of April again. But there was, I'm positive, and I wish Tiffany was here to confirm, but I believe that everybody, the main businesses in town that have business licenses, there was correspondence went out to them.
I was just inquiring, just because it would look nicer if we had more signs up
I totally agree.
and the season is starting.
Yeah.
And while I'm at it, I just want to ask, is there any way to do anything about the Ace Hardware sign? For all the people in town, we're always thinking that Ace Hardware is open because they think it's open. They want to hit it tomorrow morning. And you just have to break their hearts and tell them it's not and direct them where to go.
Unfortunately, it's a private
Yeah.
property and we have no authority to tell people to take signs down.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Courtney, for that point. Patrick? Last chance, just. Janice, I'm assuming it's Janice. Do you have anything for open forum today? Open gallery, open forum? Okay, I'll take that as a no.
Nothing in the chat, I
So
think.
nothing in the chat, so we will move on to, oh, you know, I went out of order and nobody called me on it.
Supposed to go to council.
I was supposed to do councilor open forum first, but okay. Anyway, now we will go back to councilor open forum. So, if anyone has anything, feel free to start us off. You're good?
I'm honestly, I'm good. I've spent so much time reading stuff that
I haven't. Well, I have a few
Sorry,
things.
completely didn't think about that.
Well, I have a few things and maybe Cam can help me on a couple of these things because I was originally anticipating having a bit of a report to provide to you, but that didn't happen, so I'm gonna just do my best to deliver it. My battery's gonna run out, so that's a sign.
You know, pretty good.
I know, I don't know. So last week, Cam and we attended a meeting with the Minister of Community Services and the Director of Emergency Measures Office, EMO, which was I believe they called it a quarterly update. But I think it's gonna be every 2 weeks.
It was the seasonal
Seasonal kickoff
kickoff meetings for
meeting between.
bi-weekly meetings.
Yeah, so they have bi-weekly meetings, I guess, with all the mayors and I think chiefs across the territory. So it's like the leadership, where they meet every 2 weeks just to high level go over, emergency risks, management, what have you. So that was the very first one. A lot of just introductions and procedural things. So just want to let you guys know that that meeting did take place and that we're gonna have basically regular contact about every 2 weeks. So if there's anything exciting happening, I'll be happy to update council on that. Next, Councillor Paquette, you inquired about the Housing First project last meeting. I don't know if you saw, but there was an update that CAO was able to get us from the department that was in the email, so I just wanted to point everyone's direction to that. As well as MLA wrote to the government as well, and there was a response there. So sounds like it's finished, but it's not operational yet, and I don't.
They actually, I got an email from them this morning stating that they had got official occupancy as of yesterday for it,
Okay.
but they still haven't got anybody to run it and don't know what the mandate's gonna be.
Okay, so. Next, as you all know, I attended the FCM, which is the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, quarterly board meeting in Dorval, Quebec. I guess last week or whenever that was. While I was there, I chaired the, I guess, spring Northern and Remote Forum, and I do have a quick little report from that. The forum, so that was on March 18th. It was my first time chairing that in person. There, it was certainly a learning experience. But the forum was provided updates on Canada-US relations and FCM engagement as part of the Team Canada approach against tariffs from the United States. The forum was also updated on the current planning and approach to the 2025 federal election, similarly to the work that's happening at AYC. And for those who don't know, FCM is just a big national version of AYC, which is and we're as the town of Watson Lake, a member of both AYC and Federation of Canadian Municipalities. So there's these two advocacy bodies that are acting on behalf of us all the time. So they're working on federal election readiness, AYC is working on territorial elections readiness, so that's all happening. The Northern Remote Forum. The forum also received a presentation during our meeting from the Destination Canada. Destination Canada is an FCM style organization promoting tourism across Canada. Throughout the presentation, the Northern and Remote Forum members were brought into the development of a Northern Tourism Toolkit, which will facilitate tourism growth in communities that may not have the capacity to do it on their own. And one project that was highlighted was the Rugged Apprentice program, which of course, you know, we were able to participate in whenever that was, 2 years ago now. And I was able actually to share our experience with the forum, so it was really cool. Because as you know, we had a fairly positive experience with that. And then we did have some discussion around two major points. First one being the impacts of tariffs on northern and remote communities. Members discussed how the tariffs act as a tax on a tax, as it is already very expensive to live in northern and remote communities. And then second, members discussed the broad alignment between FCM and northern and remote municipalities and municipal associations and election 2025 priorities. So That was just like really high level what went down at that forum. And I don't know if you know, but the NYC members are invited to attend those meetings. It only happens 2-3 times a year, but the committee made a motion, I think, 2 years ago to allow people from the associations to attend just so that and participate in those discussions. So in the future, if you wish to participate. Then we also series of meetings throughout the week, committee of the whole sessions where we went over strategic plan for FCM, which is due to be renewed. This is a hard copy right here if you guys want to check it out. So this is a 2025 to 2028 FCM strategic plan. Their theme or the title of it is Stronger Together, Local Strength, National Prosperity, which I think is also the theme of their conference this year. The main thing in here, really big emphasis on rural Canada, which is, it's been a request from a lot of the membership to have a stronger emphasis on that. And then one section here specifically that applies to us is a commitment to the north. And they're just saying that northern communities are at the front lines of Canada's most pressing challenges and among the most innovative in finding solutions. Across the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut, northern regions are leading the way in community-driven governance, sustainable resource development, and climate adaptation. FCM has long advocated for stronger federal investment in the north and continues to support northern municipalities through advancing solutions to close infrastructure gaps on roads, airports, housing, and more, supporting energy security and climate adaptation in communities across the north, ensuring all northerners have access to cellular connectivity and high-speed internet, and ensuring northern considerations are reflected in national policy and funding programs, which is like a really big deal for all of us in the north. So that was like really awesome to see in this strategic plan. Anyway, and there's tons of other stuff too, but that's the stuff that's like specifically for our corner of the country. So have a look at that when you have time. And then there were a number of motions that went forward that were lots of discussion and whatnot as well. So that's just, yeah, high level what happened on that trip. The next thing I want to mention is Green Shirt Day. So Thomas has probably heard me talk about this before. And previous Mayor Urban did a proclamation a number of years ago, basically proclaiming April 7th to be Green Shirt Day in Watson Lake. For those who don't know, Green Shirt Day, April 7th, is in honor of the Logan Boulet effect, which is in support of organ donor awareness and registration across Canada. Of course, Logan Boulet was one of the hockey players that was killed in the Humboldt Rockwas accident a number of years ago, and was able to save, I think, 6 lives by having his organs donated. So every April 7th, we wear green shirts to basically commemorate that or acknowledge that. So I would encourage everyone here to wear the green shirts on April 7th, and yeah, that in mind. So that is everything for me today, and thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, so that's it for me, and if nobody else has anything further for open forum, I will just ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Now make a motion to adjourn on the second. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. We'll see you.